anybody kid you or fool you into thinking Islam is the religion of peace. Religion of peace.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everybody in the chat. This is episode 3 of Why I Left Islam with.
In 1984, when I was born, the country of Iran and Iraq was in war. That was an 8-year-long war days for our countries. Many of Muslims willingly gave their life up for the cause of jihad, to defend Islam or advance it. And my uncle, two of my cousin, they joined that war willingly and gave their lives up for the cause of Islam. My mom was a devout Muslim, and she mandated us to follow Islam and to fulfill the Sharia of Islam. Even though we speak Farsi in the country of Iran, we had to learn Arabic in order to speak to the God of Islam. So that is the only language accepted
Can we pause?
by Allah, the God of Islam.
Arabic is the only language that the God of Islam. Where is that written? I would like to. Maybe it's in my book here. So, where do we get this from? Where do they get this from? It's very confused. And by the way, this is a common Christian claim. When you perform salah, you read the Quran. What language is the Quran in? Arabic. You recite the Quran as it is. Literally, when the Jews pray and they recite the Shema, they recite it in Hebrew. They don't recite it in English. Yeah. And so if this was an inherent problem, then this would make Judaism false, which they believe Christ Jesus followed. So it's a really strange claim. And Brother Isa, is it not correct that we can make dua in any language? You can absolutely raise your hands to Allah at any point and speak to him. But salah is something legislated by Allah to be in a specific way and for a specific purpose. When they make this claim that Arabic is the only language that the God of the Quran knows or hears, I speak English. I'm Trinidadian. You speak Spanish. You're Hispanic. Puerto Rican, Boricua, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do we think that God does not hear us when we speak in English or Spanish? It's a really strange claim. Pathetic claim.
I went to mosque and to a lot of madrasas, to a lot of Quran classes to learn Arabic and to learn how to recite the Quran and how to memorize the verses, the passages, sometimes chapters of the Quran in order to pray to Allah. They told us a good Muslim, if he recites and memorizes the Quran, he would not burn in hell because your brain, your body will have the eternal word of Allah in it, so it would not be burned in hell. So that's what I did. So I started.
This dude just Christianized what we think about the Quran. We don't think that some eternal Quran like lives inside your body.
Stuck for the love, bro.
Bro, what the hell was that? Where did he get? I don't even think Shi'i Muslims like Shi'i people even claim this. Like I don't even think they claim this.
About
so just for anyone's clarification, we don't believe that the Quran enters your body and makes you magically eternal or something like this. I would like to know where they got this from, but I think I'm just going to assume that they made it up. Like as a Muslim in the chat, this must be like strange for you to hear. I've never heard like you go to like a khutbah and Imam is like, and if you memorize the Quran, it lives inside of you eternally and you can't burn it. Like, I've never heard this.
Memorizing a lot of the chapters. One day I was praying to Allah, and at the time of my prayer, when I was 7 and 8 years old, and I was praying in Arabic and reciting those prayers, but I did not understand what I was saying. So I went to my mom and asked her, Mom, is this God, the God of Islam, would not speak Farsi? Does he understand Farsi? Can I speak to him in Farsi? My mom said, you do not want to be tormented by Allah. You do not be tortured by Allah. A good Muslim only surrenders, only submits. So I went and from that moment on, I did not ask any more questions. I just put my blinder on and just followed Islam. And I washed myself every day, prayed 5 times a day.
What the hell is this nonsense? You ever heard a child ask one question and never ask the same question again? Like, have you ever seen a child stop asking a question? Even if they get an answer, you have to teach them multiple times. But apparently, this moment was so traumatic for him. His mother didn't even answer the question. She just said he's going to burn in hell if he keeps asking questions like these. Like, what the hell is this nonsense, right? But I just want to put up one eye of the Quran.
He's definitely employing Christian Taqiyya. Yep.
I'm just sharing an eye of the Quran really quickly. So it says that Allah, He is what? He is Huwa Samiul Basir, that He is the all-hearing, the all-seeing. He literally says that in the Quran. And this is in chapter 17, ayah 1, Surah Al-Isra, ayah 1. And I think even before this, it's mentioned in a couple other places as well in the Quran. So if this dude for many years went to many madrasas and did not read this ayah of the Quran, what was he reading? The entire time, what was he reading?
Yeah.
Every Muslim is taught that Allah knows all things. And even if you say, okay, Ijaz, maybe he didn't get that far. The reason he went to so many madrasas is because he was a bad student. I say, okay, to this, maybe he's a very bad student. So I go to Surah Al-Fatiha, where it literally says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. He is the Lord of all things, of everything. So there is nothing that he is not the Lord of. So even if you speak to him in Farsi, he's the Lord of that. Even if you speak to your mother in a whisper, he is the Lord of that. There is nothing that he is not the Lord of.
Yeah.
Can you make this claim seriously? With
Mhm.
a face. And the thing is, I am sure because of this video and videos like these, Christians are going to come to Muslims, and when they give us, they evangelize, they proselytize, they try to preach to us, you'll hear them saying things like this, that God can only hear you if you speak in Arabic.
No, that's untrue, guys, by the way.
Like, the thing is, if you want to convert someone to your faith, you shouldn't lie to them. You shouldn't make things up. And even if I say this is the Christians' perception of Islam, when I say to a Christian that God is all seeing, all hearing, right? What does the word all there mean? Right? Even if you're a Christian and you're unaware of what I believe they understand the word all knowing, all hearing.
Not know what is going to happen to us at the day of judgment. Allah will hold a scale, and in that scale, He put the good deeds on the right hand, the bad deeds on the left hand. And I tried with this rituals, I tried to score good deeds, that I have more good deeds, but I never knew how much of this would be enough. And as Shia Muslim, we mourn ritually in anniversary of the death of our imams. The men get together in a room, they dim the lights, someone recites the eulogy, provokes the crowd to beat themselves, weep and cry. That's how we're gaining points and how we self-punish ourselves, that maybe one of these imams intercede for us at the day of judgment.
Wow. Yeah, we're Sunni Muslims, alhamdulillah. I can see why so the thing is, right? He's saying this is so problematic. We want another man to intercede for us on the day of judgment. But you believe Christ is going to intercede for you. And you believe he was beaten for you. It's not like you've changed beliefs. You've just switched Persian Islamic beliefs in some sense to Greek Persian beliefs. You've not actually made a big change. The same way that you ascribe divine attributes to the imams, you attribute it to Jesus. You haven't made a switch. For me,
Exactly.
this person, if this is what he genuinely believed, went from kufr to kufr. He didn't go from being a Muslim to a non-Muslim. It's just
anybody kid you or fool you into thinking Islam is the religion of peace.
Religion of peace. Religion of peace.
Longer.
I don't know why, but it seems like he just got off of a very small bus.
I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to take my time. I just have one request, because we have to adhere to YouTube policies as well. No mockery about the gender, guys. And maybe he's like, he might have like a medical issue from what I can tell. It may be intellectual as well, short bus most likely. But let's see, Brother Isa, let's see. But guys, just a note, be very careful in the comments, please, okay? And
Yeah,
yes, I think that was a really bad fake laugh. But let's go, let's roll this.
intolerance of others. And it's really hilarious to me when Muslims try to make it look like that Islam is the religion of tolerance, it is the religion of peace. Prophet Muhammad lived alongside Christians and Jews, which, by the way, he taxed them. All right. Anyway, that's hilarious.
Your government and my government taxes me, I think, on a daily basis for absolutely everything.
Yeah, like okay, so I mean, one of the famous like to begin with, because there's so many, I have so many thoughts. It's like constant stream, but the first thing is everyone is taxed for everything, right?
Yep.
That's what governments do. It's how they raise revenue to provide goods and services. So, as a Muslim, Islam requires that I'm taxed if I reach the nisab level. It's called zakat. My payment into the tax system of Islam is required, obligatory, and necessary if I reach that monetary level of savings, right, and assets. Now, for the non-Muslim, this is called the jizya. They have their own tax as well. And this is called the protective tax, because we're saying that us as Muslims, we are willing to put our lives on the line for you as a non-Muslim. I am willing to sacrifice my life for your protection, for your ability to have a home and to live safely, right? And so the thing is, what we're not forcing you to pay, but what we're saying is, because you can choose to leave our domain, right, where we're meant to protect you. The thing is, you're paying into the system as an investment for the goods and services and protection that you will get. And in the case of Islamic history and fiqh, it has been the case that many of the ulama, many of the rulers suspended the jizya for some of the people. Maybe they're too old, maybe they're too poor, maybe an agreement, a treaty was signed. You have so many considerations about this. If I were to flip the question, which non-Muslim government does not tax the people? I would like to know that. If taxation is the problem, at least give me an example of a non-Islamic government, a non-Muslim government that does not actively tax its own population. So already your first argument is pretty bad. But the second argument that he made, his first point, is that Islam is intolerant of other religions.
He was just saying, generalizing, just saying that Islam is not tolerant. This is
Okay, so the thing is, liberalism teaches that you can't be, to be tolerant, you have to be intolerant of the intolerance.
Yeah.
Right? Understand? No, this is...
So basically, like, let me be intolerant, bro.
No, that's the basis for liberalism. There's at some point, if you tolerate everything and everyone and every belief, then you have to tolerate someone who's intolerant of you. And that becomes a loop. Right? Then you can't be intolerant to the intolerant. So there is a limit. This notion that all peoples must be tolerant of all things, no one accepts this.
At least a minimum 10 to 30.
Those facial expressions are priceless, by the way.
30 other verses in the Quran that pretty much say the same thing. It says, if you're not a Muslim, straight to hell. You just... straight to hell. There's no hope for you. You go straight to hell. If you're a non-believer, if you're a Christian, Ahl al-Kitab, or a Jew, or if you're a mushrik, so if you're a Hindu, Zoroastrian, if you worship idols, point being, if you're not a Muslim, you go to Nar Jahannam, straight to hell.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like, it's right there in the Muslim Bible.
The Muslim Bible stuff. But yeah, so yeah, you go to hell, bro. If you don't believe, and this is what we believe, right? If you don't believe, it shouldn't matter to you either way, right? But
he thinks it's false. Like, okay, if like you can't be offended that I believe that you're going to a hell that you don't think exists.
Exactly.
It shouldn't offend you. Like you're literally calling my religion, right? Like, you know, you disrespect the name of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This individual feels like it's okay to express that disrespect. So if it's okay to express their own disrespect towards Islam or Muslim beliefs, then should they not also expect to be judged for what they say and claim? Can we not also disrespect and do these types of things? We can criticize and be critical as well, but we have to do so, Brother Isa, and I'm sure you agree, with principles behind us that are consistent and that are authoritative.
Yeah.
May Allah guide, us from such things.
I mean,
I'm sorry, brother.
I'll give you some things that actually, like, you're supposed to do, if you're in a Muslim country that is actually applying the Sharia law, the law, the Islamic law. So, yeah, by the way, if you have sex outside of marriage, or you cheat, let's say, on your husband or your wife or whatever, you are, according to the Sharia law, you're supposed to be stoned to death. Stoned to death. So you get a group of people, okay? They get stones, and they just start throwing stones on you until you die.
Here's the thing. It's ridiculous to say that fornication viewing fornication and adultery, that it's outdated to view them as immoral. We can already see, because of the data, most young children today who grow up in single parent homes, they don't have proper behavioral patterns associated with them because they don't have both parental figures present with them. So their ability to be successful in life, in many cases, is determined by the education level of their mother. So if a mother has to work their night jobs in a single parent home, she's not going to be there and able to take care of her child or raise them or educate them in those essential 3 years. It's called maternal education. And so that child, literally, because of the poor start to life that they had, with no male figure or male archetype in their lives, which is consistent, they actually grow up with many emotional insecurities. They can develop what we call neuroses. Uh, we typically say like mental illnesses, things like this. Or it is that their intellectual capabilities are quite limited because their parents were not able to teach them from a very young age. So they have to catch up. They have limits in the way that they can process information. So Islam does not want this for children to be disadvantaged, to tell us that our ideas are outdated when we are trying to preserve the societal institution of the family, is to hate children and to hate women and to deny men from being the fathers that they should be. And I find that terrible. One final thing, the hudud, the punishments in the Sharia, this is like 1% of Islamic law. When people say Sharia, they use this as a scary word. Sharia is Allah commanding us, telling us that smiling is sadaqah. So if I smile, according to the Sharia, I've done sadaqah towards my brothers and sisters. It just means the body of Islamic laws, beliefs, and principles. That's all it is.
Not so outdated, right? It makes sense. Come on, it makes sense. Come on, say I'm being too harsh here. In truth, I'm being too harsh. Come on. That's pretty logical. It's pretty logical. If somebody's committing adultery, having sex outside of marriage, it's only right that they get stoned to death, right? Come on. It's the spirit of compassion and love here. So, another outdated.
I think it's lashes in that case for two unmarried people. It's only stoning.
Yeah.
If I think
I think you're right.
A little bit of a strange thing.
Yeah. So for that, and that's what I understood. So for unmarried people's committing this, from what I understand, it is lashes, and then for married people who do this, it's a death. And it makes sense, man. You know, doing this is very, very horrible on the community. Because once you get married, the family kind of becomes stabilized in the community, and doing this can cause rifts throughout the entire community, literally throughout the entire community. Do you guys understand how this can completely shatter a community by doing this, right? Anyways, Allah knows best.
Indeed. Brother Issa, do you want to wrap up here?
We still have the other one. Do you need to go?
Yeah, I'm running a little bit low on time.
Okay, that's fine. I guess we'll just we can end it here. That's fine, brother. Let's see. So let me do this real quick.
What is this? I'm gonna pause this because I can't even read my own scribbles here. It took me like 2 minutes to read my own scribbles. So yeah, if you're a thief, you're caught stealing, your hand should be cut off. Yeah, your hand. They should just cut off your hand. You can see how ridiculous this is. You see how ridiculous this is?
So if I'm correct, the hudud on this is, if I pronounce it properly, is if you're,
It's had singular, hudud plural. But what do I know about Arabic? I think
Yeah, you don't know anything,
Ava-
bro. What are you talking about? Silent aleph. What do you mean? Anyways, so but yeah, so from what I understand, the punishment for people who steal for
Mhm.
the sake of stealing because they like doing it.
Yeah.
They're not starving or anything like this, and they're just stealing to steal. Then yes, these people, unfortunately, this is what happens. Well, not unfortunately, yeah, don't steal,
But
don't get
it
caught.
has to be, yeah, but so some of the requirements, it has to be of a specific amount, of a specific value
Yeah, yeah,
amount. In some cases, it has to be repeatable offenses. It has to be a specific type of thing that is stolen. I forget the witness standards for this, but let's compare this with just like secular law in general. It is the case that some people who have stolen from like Walmart and other places, the police that came to arrest them ended up executing some of them, right? There's been
yep,
cases where fights broke out and they were shot to death. And in some cases, we find that the law is applied unjustly, where if an African American person were to steal something compared to a person of another ethnicity, we see that in the American judiciary and in many Western countries' judiciary, the minorities face the higher brunt of the law, 10, 15 years in jail, compared to fines for other people. So, what is
mm,
more just and unjust here? This seems to be almost ridiculous, this
yeah.
comparison that they're making.
Yeah. And then the other part of it is if someone who is stealing because they're
Hungry
hungry and they're trying to feed their families, uh, from what I understand, the blame is now on the government
on the authorities, and they should be
because
fair,
they should
and on the
provide. Yeah, on the authorities. Yeah.
and on the people as well, because
I'm
you're
sorry,
supposed to
you cut out.
yeah, even in Islam, you're meant to be let him who believes in Allah and in the last day be good to his neighbor. How can you be
Hmm.
good to your neighbor if they're starving? It's a communal responsibility as well. So
Absolutely.
here's the thing: a lot of these people will give you the harshest example for the general application, but it's the opposite. These are exceptions to the normal practice rather than the standard for everyone. So this is
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's a bit like me saying America is an evil place because one person was executed by a state for selling cigarettes in New York. Right?
Yeah.
Would that be it? This is called an appeal to generalization. It's a terrible claim to make for any people. So this place has just been a clown,
Yeah.
if anything.
Yeah.
It looks like
Absolutely.
one too.
That's according to the Sharia law. Like that's the Islamic law. You know, a lot of Muslim countries don't do that because of how absurd it is. Okay, but they should be doing that according to Islamic law. There's a few countries that still do this kind of stuff, the stoning to death and cutting off the hand, but most don't do it.
It's just like here in the United States, bro. Listen, if you don't want to be executed for treason, then don't commit treason. It's so simple. If you don't want to be executed for murder, right? Then don't murder. I mean, this
I
is
mean,
what I would call a snowflake, bro.
yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.